Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this session. It's a big honor to see such a full room. We had 2 days of Paris Peace Forum, lots of insightful conversations. And today's session, I'm honored to moderate on data, storytelling, and leadership, tools for women's empowerment. This topic is really close to my heart. My name is Gulnora Mukhamadieva. I'm Global Lead for Gender Equality with Aga Khan Foundation, where we also work across lots of geographies promoting gender equality and women's empowerment. So the Paris Peace Forum always have been a space where ideas meet action, and where we explore not just how to build peace, but how to sustain it. And of course, the peace can be sustained when it is inclusive, innovative, and equal. And of course, the role that women play in sustaining peace is really crucial. So in today's conversation, we will focus on data, on the intersection of data, tools, and leadership. So in order to understand where inequality persists and how progress unfolds, data plays a very crucial role. And at the same time, the storytelling gives it the truth resonance and it transforms the statistics into human experience, allowing empathy to drive the engagement. And finally, the leadership ensures that both data and storytelling becomes levers for change, and turning the knowledge that we have into policy making and into inspiration into the change and impact. So I'm really, really pleased to have amazing panelists today representing almost all the continents. And I'll do a quick introduction of each one of them. So next to me is ElsaMarie de Silva. She's the founder of Red Spot Foundation. And if you were part of the Paris Peace Forum, Elsa's project have been showcased in the Scale Up and Solution Initiative. So if you haven't visited, please go and check. And next to Elsa, we have Khadija Amahal, who is the project coordinator of Get Heard and the Youth Empowerment Society from Morocco. The Get Heard project also was featured among the solution spaces, and please have a look if you haven't visited yet. Next to Khadija, we have Dr. Hala Elsadek representing Egypt, and Dr. Hala is working as head of the Central Division for Digital Community Development at the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology. And finally, our amazing speaker all the way from Cambodia, Her Excellency Ms. Lork Keng. She is the member of the National Assembly of Cambodia and chairwoman of the Commission on Public Health, Social Work, Veteran, Youth Rehabilitation, Vocational Training, and Women Affairs. So again, welcome to everyone, and we will start with the first round of questions. So my question is to ElsaMarie. In your view, because of the amazing initiatives that you implement across many geographies, I understand, on the gender-based violence, on women's safety online, etc. So what is the most crucial piece of evidence from Safe City data that you currently use to compel police and municipal authorities to act? Over to you.
Thank you so much. So Safe City is our platform. It's a global platform for anonymous reporting of sexual and gender-based violence. And this was launched 10 days after a horrific gang rape that took place in my country in Delhi, India, in December 2012, where a young woman was gang raped on a bus and left to die on the streets. Now, that incident got me thinking about sexual and gender-based violence and my own experiences and things that I had suppressed for so long, being harassed on streets, in transport, at the workplace. And like me, many of my friends started to share their own stories. And what was common was that most of us had never, ever made a complaint. So what does that mean? It means that there is a data gap that exists because of underreporting. And Safe City exists to bridge that data gap, make what is currently invisible visible. So every story that a survivor shares is geo-tagged, placed on a map, visualized as a hotspot, and that data is made actionable because we are looking at it from a location. And we then share that data with local communities so that they can use it in their advocacy with police, with city officials, transport, or anyone they may think would be important to make that space safer. So you asked what is the most crucial piece of evidence to convince someone like the police, right? So I'll give you a recent example. We've been doing a lot of work this year and last year with the police in one of the states in India. And when the Director General of that state, he looked at our data, he was shocked because we have data that they don't have. 90% of our reports, or the people who've reported, have said that they did not go to the police. So that means he does not have that information, but he needs that information if he needs to keep women in his state safe. So I think the crucial evidence is that women need a safe space to report, but more importantly, they don't trust officials like the police in many countries. And that's not an India issue alone. We are also working with police and city officials in other parts of the world, and it's a similar story over there. But when they do have that data, and when they do work in conjunction with the community and seek recommendations from the community who understand what the patterns and trends are, then the implementation or the solutions that emerge build trust, build confidence, and you see more people accessing resources, formal resources by the city, or engaging more with the police, increasing in reporting as much as 30% initially, and 70% confidence to have greater freedoms, like staying late longer, venturing further from home, taking more calculated risks. So think about it. I see so many women in the room. Think about if you faced any incident or a friend of yours. Most often, we minimize ourselves. We withdraw from that space. We avoid things. But if we know that our community has our back and that there's someone who's going to act in our interest, we actually feel more comfortable taking more risks. So that's what we do at Safe City, and I invite you to look at our web app or our mobile apps. Check out our data set for your city or community, and if there's not one, please encourage your friends to report, either as a survivor or a witness, and then do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ElsaMarie, for these excellent examples. We often hear that in order to implement the gender-based violence or sexual gender-based violence, the governments or the policymakers often lack the data, and the examples you brought, it was really excellent in terms of how you can fit into the whole enforcement of those legislation. My second question is, Dr. Hala. I would be curious to know, how does the ministry formally integrate and acts upon non-traditional crowdsourced data, as Elsa mentioned? And how does it feed into the whole national planning and law enforcement strategies? I'm sure you can share some examples from Egypt, where it's also a huge challenge. Thank you.
Actually, in Egypt, we are now, the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology is now formalizing the non-traditional crowdsourced data into a national publicity, and this is under the vision of Egypt 2030 and the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Of course, there are several key mechanisms that we take into consideration for this policy or formulation. For example, the Personal Data Protection Law, which was issued in 2020, Law 151, which preserves personal rights for sharing or processing information, personal information, with explicit consent from the person himself. Also, there is an open data policy for which transitional framework that encourage or promoting transparency, encouraging innovative digital products, and which are based on the policy making or planning for policy making. Another thing is also the public digital public infrastructure, which is the data that come from projects or initiatives that, like the project of Qudwa Tech that we are here to highlight on about women empowerment using technology in entrepreneur and business work. So the data that gathered from the beneficiaries, we aggregate this data in order to improve our programs and enhance our initiatives. So for example, in Qudwa Tech, the data help us to define the geographic priorities in the community and most needed women communities or cities for development. Also, we shape our interministerial agreements like the National Council of Women, the Ministry of Social Solidarity, Ministry of Industry, in order to have more stakeholders and more national effect. Also, these data help us to enhance and improve our training bundles using AI and e-commerce and other solutions. So the feedback data from beneficiaries, from women all over the program and different cohorts help us to improve ourselves depending on these data also. So we are working toward gathering different information of data.
Great, thank you so much for this comprehensive response. And I really liked how you highlighted the digital public infrastructure, citizens' engagement. I think it's really important to ensure that the voices of citizens are also heard. And also important point on interministerial coordination, because sometimes for implementing this kind of larger scale reforms, sensitive reforms, it's important that all the branches of the executive government come together. So my next question is to Ms. Lor Keng. Let's move to Cambodia now. And you represent the Parliament and the National Women's Commission, so I'm sure you have a huge mandate. So could you please share any examples in order to achieve a large-scale, sustainable change? What is the single most valuable kind of example of partnerships that you could bring? Does it have to be focused on financial investment, on policy mandate, or capacity building? And why do you think that one of these components is more important than the others? Thank you.
Thank you so much. From Cambodia, experience, I would say, is the most valuable from the partnership for large-scale sustainable change is capacity building. Financial investment and policy mandate are both crucial, but they are only as strong as the people who implement them. Capacity building creates the foundation for every other kind of progress. It turns policy into practice and investment into impact. In Cambodia, we have seen this through initiatives like the Girl to Leader campaign and the mock parliament, where mentorship and practical learning have young women see leadership as something achievable. Similarly, training for women parliamentarian and female parliamentary staff has strengthened their ability to use data, communicate evidence, and influence policy outcomes that improve people's lives. We have also collaborated with regional and international partners to enhance understanding of a global agenda. For example, in October 2024, the National Assembly of the Kingdom of Cambodia hosts a capacity building workshop on women, peace and security agenda for parliamentarians across Asia. So to achieve large-scale and lasting transformation, the most powerful investment we can make is in human capacity, especially women capacity to lead, to tell their story, and to use data to drive inclusive policy solution. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, I fully agree that on the women, peace and security agenda, it's really important to build the voices of the local female leaders and make sure that also part of these larger reforms. Now that we heard from Elsa on the kind of global initiative on data collection, we heard from ministry, we heard from the member of the parliament, let's come to Khadija. Khadija represents the Get Heard project, which is one of the exciting projects from Morocco. So Khadija, can you please tell us for the projects that you are engaged, which relies on young women sharing their stories, what are the two most difficult cultural and infrastructural imperative in terms of what are the obstacles they face in ensuring that women, especially, protecting these participants from digital risk, backlash, or psychological distress. So because you work with, in a very culturally sensitive context, to what extent you make sure that they are protected and safe?
Thank you very much. First of all, it's an honor for me to be here, and I believe that the little me will be very proud, and this is what every woman deserves to feel. They deserve to be proud of themselves, proud of their achievements, and they deserve to be safe. However, one of the main challenges that they experience to achieve that is gender-based violence, which is present in societies and is not only presented in one space. It's in the house, it's in the workplace, in the street, and it's important to tackle it. We cannot just shy away from it. I learned something today from one of the panels, which is the fact that 80% of women in the Arab world have experienced some sort of violence online. And speaking about online harassment, it's important not only to equip the participants with the tools to tell their stories, but also to be aware of ways to protect themselves online. Before I answer the question, I want to give you a short overview about the Get Heard project. It's the baby of the Youth Empowerment Society. Our association was created in 2017, and our first project was the Get Heard initiative that started in 2018. The Get Heard is an initiative that aims to break the culture of silence among women about gender-based violence. We equip them with awareness and information about international and national laws that protect them, that criminalize and penalize individuals who practice any sort of gender-based violence. And at the same time, we equip them with the tools to tell their stories in a digital format through podcasts. And it's thanks to that initiative that I participated in 2018 that I discovered the world of digital storytelling, and today I'm able to tell my stories on social media with pride. So it's important, of course, when we introduce digital storytelling to inform the participants that when their stories are posted online, there is a potential threat. However, before they post their stories, we give them the choice whether they want to use their identity or they want to use a fake identity. And not just about changing their names, it's also about changing their tone, their voice. So even if somebody thinks, oh, maybe Khadija is the one telling this story because she's talking about the fact that she dropped out of school at an early age because her family wanted her to get married. I said no, of course, and I pursued my studies, and now I'm a PhD student. But this is just to illustrate how we do it. It's important when we serve communities to tell them about the threats. Otherwise, we're serving our agenda and not the agenda of the population that we want to serve. So this is one of the practices that we have adopted, and it proved to be very successful. The participants have the choice to keep their stories to themselves. So far, 360 participants benefited from our initiative. 80 stories are available on our social media. If you'd like to listen to some of these stories, they're now in Darija, but one of our objectives for next year is to translate them to make them more accessible to anyone who would like to get inspired by these stories. Additionally, our email address is always open to the participants. For instance, if one of them at a certain moment in life decides that her story should no longer exist on social media for any reason. And we do have concrete examples of former participants who reached out to us with this request. We honor their request because, again, civil society organizations are there to boost the confidence of these women, to serve their needs, and we honor their wish by removing these stories from social media. And I believe that storytelling is not just a tool for entertainment. I believe that everyone in the audience must have a moment when they heard a story from their parents or their grandparents and they got inspired. And this is exactly the tradition that we want to maintain. We want to create stories for other women to speak up, to know that they're not alone. And what they're advocating for is not something that is odd, but it's a basic human right that they should enjoy. Because if we do not create safe spaces for women to participate, then they will not be able to participate. And the consequences are endless. And if you would like to get hurt, please do reach out to us and we'll be happy to share the model with you.
Thank you so much, Khadija. Always inspiring and excellent examples from the works that Get Heard is leading. So we all know that with internet connectivity and access to social media, our lives changed. And at the same time, there are lots of concerns in terms of digital divide, in terms of the accessibility of internet in the rural areas, the access and control to digital devices. Often when I travel across our geographies, we have parents or younger brothers deciding if the adolescent girl can have a telephone or not. So therefore, I think although we can assume that the internet connectivity brought lots of changes, but it's not equal across the kind of population and across the rural and urban population. So my next question is Dr. Hala. So beyond simply providing an internet connection, what are the key challenges you face in ensuring that women, especially those in rural areas, as I mentioned, actually translate that digital access into economic opportunities, into self-advocacy? As Khadija now rightly mentions, that we also have to be kind of careful or cautious in terms of how we access internet and how we use it for our skills and empowerment.
Actually, are right. Especially when we are implementing digital community development in rural areas, we have a long experience in that, going down maybe 2000 and so on. We have a cultural resilience and the trust, especially for women in the rural and deprived areas. But usually we have solutions or technical solutions or adapt our solutions to mitigate those challenges. For example, when we work for empowering women in oases at Western Desert like Siwa, we have different culture and customs that may prevent women from going outside home to learn or educate, especially about technologies. They don't have any trust that this technology could improve their life or do something good for them. So we need to find solutions for that. So we have a hardware solution which is adapted by our IT team to have one CPU on 4 screens and 4 keyboards and mouses. This is in a foldable table on a wheels, so we can enter for women in homes to reach the technology or reach the internet and the solutions to them. Also to mitigate the trust, we have a study for the community and we get a well-educated girls or educated girls from the same community and we work with them to be as a trainer. We give them a TOT or train of trainers on our bundles of AI or e-commerce and entrepreneurial skills or even fintech skills. And those are our catalysts. We call them info lady or intermediate lady, who is responsible to transfer those knowledge to at least 20 women from her local community. So this helps us to find more trust with the grassroots and even spread our models and have more beneficiaries. This is in Siwa, while in other areas we have also another models. For example, in Nubia, in southern Egypt at borderline, women are powerful and work but most of the traditional art crafts or heritage with an older woman who don't have access or don't know how to access technology well. So the model of InfoLady is working well there also to spread the knowledge and have more beneficiaries. Maybe another challenge is the technology adaptation. As we develop the solutions, but we need also to ensure that it is well adapted by the targeted community, and it also changing their life positively as we are targeted for. So we have different bundles or different models. So, for example, to translate the technology according to the needs, like AI-driven models in design of products or artifacts to collect or have solutions between the heritage preservation and the modern designs that will attract customers for women, and also in e-commerce and e-marketing and so on, in order to open for them markets either inside Egypt or even regional or globally. And this also will include some financial inclusion, like e-payment and e-wallets and so on. So it's an integrable solution. We aim always to build an ecosystem, not just small solutions, but a complete ecosystem that have good adaptation for targeted women.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Hala. I really love the examples of info ladies and how they can basically inspire more younger generation of women. And I really liked what you said on e-commerce. You know, in the geographies where the mobility of women and adolescent girls is limited, where the markets are not so kind of easy to reach, I feel like all the technology-based jobs, voluntary jobs, e-commerce will play a huge role. I'll come back to ElsaMarie now because, during the last 5 to 10 years, I would say lots of women's economic empowerment call for proposals. When it's funded by international donors, they're really requesting us to put 10% of the activities on the victims of gender-based violence. So I wonder if you could quickly share a couple of examples how the access to your services improve the lives of those who were in the most difficult time of their lives, who then managed to get through your initiatives and empower themselves or find jobs.
Yes, thank you. And I wish more donors would give more than 10% for the survivors of gender-based violence. Having said that, you know, a lot of women carry this trauma with them through their lives. And this is seen through our data set, where many women are sharing stories 20 years ago, 30 years ago, with great detail. So that means it has affected them in some ways, right? And I think storytelling is so important because when one woman breaks her silence, the other women feel confident to share their story because they don't feel alone. So the feeling of being alone, the feeling that somebody won't trust them, in many cultures, honors linked to these experiences, and it kind of transfers to your family, so you're not encouraged even from your family level to break the silence. So I feel that these kind of initiatives where you educate them, as we talked about, capacity building, providing them the right spaces, safe spaces to break their silence, and then providing them a platform to do something about it in solidarity, in community, is absolutely crucial. What is the impact of all that? So let's talk about the negative impact. When women, there's a study by World Bank that says the sexual cost of harassment for women in Delhi is a compromise on the choice of educational institutions. So she chooses something close to home, not necessarily a quality education or some education institution that offers a course that she wants to graduate in. So she compromises. And there's a financial cost because she tends to upgrade to a safer, what she thinks is safer, means of transportation, and it is pegged to $300 per year, about $300 per year, which is almost somebody's monthly salary. So that's expensive. And I call it the freedom of lifestyle because a male counterpart may not have to spend so much, right? So that's the negative. But when we have observed that people who've used safe city methodology in their communities to advocate for better and safer changes, whether it's with their parents, their religious leaders, or working closely with the municipality and police, they actually gain 2 or 3 hours extra in the day. So if earlier they were allowed by their families to come home at 7 p.m., now they're staying out till 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. You may wonder what will those women do with 2 extra hours in their day. I'm sure you know. You can take up a job, you can upskill yourself, you can just spend those 2 hours with your friends, but that is your choice. Women are venturing further from their homes because earlier, under the guise of safety, their family would stop them from going out because it was unsafe. And now they're turning it on their families to say, what are you doing to make the space safe? Why are you putting these restrictions on ourselves? And so on and so forth. So I think the consequences of safe spaces, it has a tremendous effect on women. And then you have all these McKinsey and Deloitte studies that say that if women were treated equal, and that means one of the things being it's a safe space for her to explore all her choices and become financially independent, then India, for example, can add $770 billion to our GDP. That's a lot of money. So I definitely think we have to, on an aggressive front, address safety of women. It is the need of the hour. It is the most important issue, even before we can talk about economic empowerment. I think if you address it, then she automatically will have more choices, options, and will be able to take care of herself and earn her own living.
Thank you so much for these powerful references to the data which is available there. Indeed, India is losing a lot by not looking at this issue. So my question is to Khadija. I mean, as Elsa mentioned, storytelling is really powerful. But in terms of the qualitative and the quantitative metrics, how can we use it to prove that the shared stories across all the initiatives that you mentioned here are genuinely shifting the community attitudes and social norms, because, of course, this is one of the major challenges when it comes to changing the norms.
Thank you for your question. I think changing narratives and cultures is a process that takes time. It's not easy or a magical process to inform someone that, hey, this information is not correct, and they change it instantly. It takes time, it takes the use of proper language, it requires giving concrete examples and stories from real life to slightly convince them that this is true. And the impact of an initiative, and I will give the example of Get Heard, on the participants is not the same, because for someone it is the first time that they think about sharing the stories of the experience that they went through, and for somebody else maybe they're really interested in advocacy, so the level of impact is not the same. And for that, it's important to take that into consideration while preparing the KPIs or the tools that we are using to measure the impact of our initiative. For now, we are able to measure the impact of the intervention of the Get Heard initiative on the participants during their participation by using pre- and post-workshop surveys to understand to what extent the sessions, the information sessions about the laws and the regulations were impactful to them, and at the same time how they feel after telling their stories. Because storytelling can also be used to heal, and this is something that we should not take for granted. And if you're interested to learn about some concrete examples of storytelling projects that enable the participants to heal, we have ours, and there are many others in the Scope Gallery that are quite insightful and inspiring. However, what we're hoping to do for this year is to develop a mixed method approach that would enable us to measure the long-term impact of our interventions on the participants and the change of the mindset and the narrative that people adopt while talking about gender-based violence in all its formats. As I mentioned earlier, gender-based violence does not come in one format. It's not like water as we can see it. Even water tastes differently from one context to another. And for that reason, it's not a process that we want to think about and to implement instantly. We need the right expertise, we need the right planning to make sure that we're measuring the right impact. But what we have observed is, thanks to the participants' feedback, they were able to themselves be convinced to break free from that silence, to speak up, and at the same time to encourage other girls in their community to speak up as well, to share their stories. And this is how change happens. It's like the ripples of a little stone that you throw on a lake, and you can see the waves. And this is exactly how change happens. It's a snowball effect. It starts small and it continues to grow. Of course, it requires time and resources, but we're confident that we can achieve that thanks to the right partnerships and support.
Thank you so much, Khadija, for that beautiful example. We have around 9 minutes left before the end of this session, so I would like to open now for any questions if the audience have to our speakers. Yes, please introduce yourself and...
Hi, my name is Aziza Roshani, and my question is to ElsaMarie. Thank you so much for all the work you do. I would like to know the relation between the increase of violence and the data exposure that we have. Like, thankfully, we have a lot of exposure to information right now, but is it really the increase of violence, or are we exposed simply to information compared to 10, 15 years ago, which information we didn't have? But right now, there are like tons of information that we have, but can we say that it's simply the exposure that we have, or there is an increase in violence?
Thank you for that question. It's really relevant. I think it's a combination of both. One is we are seeing more reporting, and we are talking more about it because of all the conversations that are happening, especially, Me Too also opened up the space for these conversations. So I would definitely say we are talking more about it, and we have tools like Safe City to make it more visible. But I also do believe that violence is increasing because we have leaders sometimes, or influencers, maybe even soft power like Bollywood, for example, that shows it's okay to perpetrate such violence. And we need to call it out. We need to reform these things, because otherwise what's happening is the violence just continues. The norms and behavior change that Khadija spoke about, it takes a long time to change. But who's influencing this? So I don't know, many of you may have seen a Bollywood movie. A lot of it is sexist, misogynistic, and right at the start, the hero will continue to pursue a woman, and no doesn't mean no, it means yes. It just takes a little bit of time. By the end of the movie, he does get her. So in reality, what you're telling young men is it's okay to stalk women, it's okay to, ignore consent. And then it spills over to digital spaces as well, because whatever is reflected in the physical world is also reflected in the digital world. And with technology and the easy access to pornography, for example, again, you're getting influenced by things that are not a reflection of reality. It's all staged. So yes, it's a combination of both.
Great, thank you so much. We have a question from a male. We need more male champions. We need more men to talk about these issues.
Hello, thank you. My name is Firas Shamsan. I come from Yemen. As we talk with some of the people in the panel, I'm actually a filmmaker, which I'm focusing about women in exile. As you know, many women who's especially, in my case, from my country, Yemen, have been in exile. And this is not just the normal women, the women who's been like judge, ministers, and many people in exile right now. The big issue is like these women, they don't go and share their own thoughts or what they do in the social media because they get the big attack. In my case, it's not just a question, but I want to also to announcement that I'm working in searching in these women's, the experience of Swiss women, science. It's loud. So it's allowed in the. Okay, since 72, since 72, the women in Switzerland. Yeah, they stop. Since 72, in Switzerland, women was not allowed to vote until early 19s, but now there is like the mayor, the president, the Ministry of Defense. And now I start to search about these women in Switzerland, and I compare them to the women in exile. The part, I almost finished the film, but the issues, like one of the ladies I tried to interview have been killed with 30 bullets. The issues now, after the film, is like I'm calling everyone working with cases like with Samana Sotak or all the people around, is to take care, like I want to make like a guideline, and I ask and call everyone here to be participate. We need to put these women in exile because they are so afraid, so annoying.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and we need them to make like books and that.
No, definitely.
So
Thank you
this
for
is
your
a call to collaborate and that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's amazing, the examples that you brought. Any final questions from the audience?
Hello, my name is Shala, and I'm an early childhood development and gender specialist. I had one question for Khadija and Elsa. So it has already been said, but gender-based violence is also deeply rooted in social norms. So my question was, are you planning also to work with men and not just women? Because I think it's great to empower women to have a safe space, but at the end of the day, gender-based violence is done by men. So we have to sort of break through that cycle and educate our boys or husband, partners or brothers to not commit this kind of violences. So are you also planning to work towards that? Thank you.
That's an excellent question. Thank you so much for raising it. At the Youth Empowerment Society, we realized that it's important to also engage men in these discussions. And for that, we, after COVID-19, we launched an edition that brought together both male and female participants to learn about these laws and to co-create stories based on real-life examples, and to have a safe space where they can talk to each other and understand that they're not the enemies of each other. By advocating for more opportunities for women, by creating more safe spaces for women to participate and to feel safe, we're not excluding men. Of course, they play a critical role, and for that, I believe that it's important that these initiatives bring together both men and women to share the same space, to share their perspectives, and to co-create a common message. And of course, while we're telling stories of women who experience gender-based violence, it's important to also share stories of men and women working together to advocate for the rights that would make everyone feel safe in their societies. And this is what we've been developing, and we are planning to continue the momentum. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Khadija.
Look around you. Except for a few handful men, we have all women attending this session. Violence against women and girls is not a women's issue, it's a societal issue, and we need more men to be engaged. And I'm very proud that Red Dot Foundation has always created space for men to be part of this solution. A common excuse I get to hear is that they don't know this is an issue because of the silence around it. And because we have data, many of them sign up to be data analysts, and they are now reading all these stories, analyzing it, and they are very shocked. And that helps them go back home, talk to their mothers, sisters, girlfriends, and whoever, and they are further shocked because they realize it's a daily occurrence for many of their family members and loved ones. Also, there's a researcher from Imperial College who's done a study of our trainings with young men, and her research indicates there is a significant increase in those young men's behavior towards being sensitive to women and less perpetration of violence against them, as reported by their women colleagues after attending our training. So I think we need more education. We need more investment in these areas, and I don't think it's something that we can just wish it away unless we start talking about it, start calling it out, and encouraging each other to support one another. So yeah, so I would like to see a 50-50 participation in the audience the next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elsa. We need to wrap up. We are almost on time. Yeah, I think today's session also showed to what extent data, tools, and access to information can help us to address the gender-based violence and other forms of violence. I think after COVID, it was clear that we cannot be silent about this. At the same time, as you mentioned, we can't only focus on the victims of gender-based violence. Yeah, we have to work with everyone. We shouldn't work in isolation. Big thanks to all my panelists, for the amazing work that you are doing in your countries, and big thanks to the audience also for joining. And I'm sure you found it insightful. You learned about the amazing work that the organizations are doing across the world. Thank you so much.